Have you ever driven through a Michigan neighborhood and thought, why do half of these homes look like they belong in a 1970s time capsule? And why does every other house have a brick ranch with an oddly placed window that looks like a afterthought? If you're moving to Michigan, you might be asking yourself, what exactly am I getting into? Well, my friend, today we're taking a wild ride through the history of Michigan homes, why they look like the way they do, why our basements are essentially underground storage lockers for Christmas decorations and canned goods, and why your house hunting adventure might include at least one home with wood paneling straight out of your grandma's basement. Alright, let's rewind to the 1800s when Michigan was still full of lumberjacks, fur traders, and folks who thought indoor plumbing was too futuristic. Homes back then were simple, functional, and designed to withstand Michigan's wild mood swings because let's be honest, the weather here has always had some trust issues. The earliest homes were built in colonial and farmhouse styles, which meant white, boxy, symmetrical structures with steep roofs and wraparound porches. These homes were perfect for frontier life, sturdy and practical, but if you wanted personality, you're kind of out of luck. Then came the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, which made the Midwest collectively rethink their love for wooden homes. People started using brick like it was going out of style, which is why even today, Michigan neighborhoods are filled with solid brick homes that look like they could survive a meteor strike. By the late 1800s and early 1900s, the Victorian era swept through Michigan like an episode of Downton Abbey. If you've ever driven through towns like Ann Arbor, Detroit's historic districts, or Bay City, you've probably seen homes that look like they belong in a Disney villain's origin story. Pointy turrets, wraparound porches, and decorative trim that screamed, look how fancy we are over here. These homes had character, but also came with the unfortunate side effect of creaking floorboards that made every house feel haunted, whether it actually was or not. Fast forward to the 1940s and 50s, and Michigan was booming thanks to the auto industry. Detroit was the Silicon Valley of its time, and people were flocking to the suburbs in search of the American dream. A good job, a family, and a home with a yard where they could grill hamburgers and pretend like they understood baseball and whatnot. This is where Michigan's love affair with the ranch home began. These homes were affordable, easy to build, and most importantly, they were low maintenance. Because let's be honest, after a long day of building cars at Ford or GM, no one wanted to climb stairs and go to bed. That's why Michigan has an absurd number of single-story brick ranches, all lined up in neat little rows like someone copy and pasted them from a blueprint. Around the same time, another home style was making its way into Michigan, the tri-level. If you've ever walked into a Michigan home and found yourself immediately faced with half a staircase going up and half a staircase going down, congratulations, you've just entered a tri-level home. This became popular in the 1950s and 60s because they offered a separate space for living, sleeping, and hiding from your siblings when they were being annoying. If you grew up in one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And let's talk about why Michigan homes are built the way they are. And spoiler alert, it has a lot to do with our ridiculous weather. And then there's the good old Michigan basement. If you've never heard of one, consider yourself, I'd say, pretty lucky. A Michigan basement is essentially an unfinished, slightly creepy, not slightly, very creepy dirt floor basement that makes you feel like you're starring in a low-budget horror movie. If you're house hunting and the listing says partial basement, you might as well just start running. If you've ever lived in a state like Florida, you might be wondering, why does every home in Michigan have a basement? The answer is the frost line. Michigan gets so cold in the winter that builders have to dig foundations extra deep to prevent the ground from shifting, and since they're already digging, they figure might as well just add an entire underground level while we're at it. That's why Michigan basements exist and why every homeowner has at least one unfinished basement full of old furniture, forgotten workout equipment, and a dehumidifier that no one remembers to empty. Michigan's love for brick homes also ties into the climate too. Brick holds heat in the winter and stays cool in the summer, making it the perfect material for a state that can't decide what season it wants to be in at that given time. And if you've ever noticed that Michigan's homes have steeply pitched roofs, that's because they're designed to shed snow, because nobody wants to wake up to 2,000 pounds of snow sitting on the roof like a bad life decision. There are some home quirks that you'll find in Michigan and nowhere else. For starters, let's talk about mudrooms. If you're not from the Midwest, you might not understand why Michigan homes have a whole separate room for shoes and coats. But trust me, if you've ever come inside after shoveling a foot of snow off your driveway and your pants are wet from like the ankle to your neck, you'd be very grateful for a space to dump your wet boots before tracking slush all over your house. Another Michigan staple, pole barns and extra garages. If you've ever driven through a Michigan neighborhood and noticed that half the houses have detached garages the size of small aircraft hangars, it's because we take extra storage to another level. Whether it's for cars, boats, or a project I swear I'll finish someday, having a second garage is practically a requirement here. So, well, what's the takeaway here? If you're moving to Michigan, expect brick ranges, tri-level mysteries. I didn't even get into the quad levels, that's another staircase. Basements full of forgotten belongings, and homes built for survival in a state that loves throwing weather curveballs. The good news, Michigan homes are built to last. The bad news, you're probably going to tour at least one home that hasn't been updated since the Carter administration. If you're on the hunt for a home in Michigan and need someone who actually understands what you're getting into, I'd love to help. Drop a comment below with your weirdest home feature. Also, I have a link to the Living in Michigan newsletter to give you insight on all things Michigan, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss out. Thanks for watching. Till next time.